One, two, hey, hey.
I know. I know. You have. We've had a couple of staff members exposed, and my daughter's in South America right now, and one of the cast members, luckily they haven't opened yet, but she was exposed. She's been driving this little boy home that's in the show, and mom called and says, "Hey, Rachel, how you doing? Good to see you." Thank you. Hi. Present. Give a count. Thank you. Um, what would you like me to do? I'll say, oh, I'm sitting over here.
You don't have to say anything if you want to just say, you know, how you think this would be great
Okay.
for this community.
And I can say we're serving your support.
Yeah, yeah. I'll do that.
I like your dress.
I don't know what that is, but hey, how you doing? Yes. I don't know without his swim trunks on. And I ate. That's something. I ate breakfast.
Yes. Sure. Nice to meet you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is indeed. How are you, Shannon?
Hey, Shani, how you doing? Good to see you.
1, 2. Are you saying that on there? Mic check.
You see, my car got locked into the garage last night. Oh, it did. I went to out to dinner. Rod and I went out to dinner after, and then I looked at the time and like, oh my god, it's almost 9:30, and then I went there and my phone was just leaving, and I was like.
Handheld check. 1, 2. Hey. Mic test.
Daryl, that's Chase Long.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I don't know. Well,
Let's do this.
yeah, you can do that. Yeah, join me.
Still like 2 more minutes. I was waiting till 9:40.
That's fine. I'm the Arts Council.
I'll be good.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Marketing advertising.
Oh, good.
This is weird.
I've been teaching you for almost a year now about the project. But right now we're serving as a fiscal agent. So if we get donations, we can send the donations to us. Since we're a nonprofit, then we can send it. So we can funnel it and then we can give some of the donation, we can give them to
Well, I'm excited to meet you.
So nice to
I
meet
think one of the
Oh, good. Good. I can see you. I think I've got a card. Bad about not replenishing my cards. Let's see if I have any. Yes. I know a little bit. Well, reach out to me on those things. Yeah, sure. I just moved here, 18 months. I was in Charlotte for the last 18 years.
Good stuff.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. We wanted to give folks just a little bit more time. We understand, I almost said it's Monday morning, but it's Wednesday actually, right? But we're going to go ahead and get started to respect the time of those of you who are here. Before we open up with this exciting news that we have to share with you, I do want to just take a moment for us all to collectively pause to acknowledge the lives that were lost a few days ago in Buffalo due to an act of domestic terrorism. And so I just would pause in your own way to offer acknowledgement to those lives that were lost. Thank you. So I'm standing here today. I am Dr. Melva Sampson. This is my partner in love and life and work, Derek Young. One Love Media, in partnership with Pink Road Chronicles, is excited to announce the One Love Festival, a two-day event in Winston-Salem, June 17th through the 18th, 2022. The festival will celebrate and center African diasporic culture through music, art, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Boasting local, national, and international musicians, authors, DJs, poets, and visual artists, our goal is to amplify African diasporic culture and curate an immersive hybrid experience with in-person performances streamed virtually, and develop and maintain mutually enhancing connections that encourage love of self, love of community, and love of culture. In 1971, soulful singer Marvin Gaye released the track What's Going On. Written in response to incidents of social injustice most visible in social determinants that affected the physical, psychosocial, financial, and spiritual health of African Americans, Gaye confronted society with what felt like a call to action sermon of sorts. To the grieving mothers who violently lost sons to the war at home and abroad, Gaye proclaimed that we have to find a way to bring some love in here today. To the distant fathers, Gaye spoke cautiously but steady. We don't need to escalate. War is not the answer. Only love can conquer hate. Today, the same social determinants that informed Gaye's lyrics in 1971 remain barriers in 2022 to the well-being of African Americans and other marginalized people. Citing anthropologist Melville Herskovitz, we, quote, dispute ideas about Black inferiority by illuminating practices of cultural continuity between African Americans and highly developed African heritage, end quote. By centering and celebrating African diasporic culture, we will rail against claims that African Americans do not have a past and make clear that our cultural ingenuity predates the transatlantic slave trade, and that our culture is not inferior. To this end, the One Love Festival is a cultural platform that uses the arts, in the words of Maya Angelou, whom this room is named after, tells our stories as we have known them and not as they have been told to us. One Love Festival seeks to complement and build on the cultural contributions of the late Larry and Sylvia Hamlin's Black Theater Festival, Cheryl Harry's Juneteenth celebrations, and Baba Hakeem and the Otisha Dancers. All powerful offerings to cultural life here in Winston-Salem. Here's what we know to be true. Musical, visual, spiritual, and creative arts have been longtime tools for consciousness raising in Black African American culture. From the Harlem Renaissance to the civil rights, Black power, and now Black Lives Matter movements, freedom songs, protest poems, and innovative textile and digital art has expressed the plight of a country plagued by interlaced oppressive structures like racism, sexism, homophobia, ableism, health inequity, and militarism, to name a few. One Love Festival, our core values are represented in 3 African diasporic cultural pillars: Ubuntu, Ma'at, and Sankofa. Ubuntu, taught to us by the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu, is a way of being that seeks to honor the dignity of each person and is concerned about the development and maintenance of mutually affirming and enhancing relationships. Ma'at is an ancient Kemetic concept used as a recuperative tool to restore justice and balance within fractured communities. And Sankofa, Dr. Itihari Toure defines, which is a Ghanaian philosophical worldview, Dr. Toure defines as a socialization process from which the African and African diaspora have effectively negotiated the two-ness of reality or double consciousness that informs how knowledge is constructed. Basically, what is worth knowing, what is meaningful, what is responsive, what is reconciling, what is generative, and in many instances, what is improvement. Watching the world around us plunge deeper into lovelessness confirms the need for the only answer: radical love. So we believe that love is life. We believe in the sanctity of all humanity, regardless of imposed social boundaries. We believe in one love. We believe that cultural awareness and sensitivity create space for radical openness and expression, reminding us, in the words of writer and poet Audre Lorde, that if we don't define ourselves for ourselves, we would be crunched into other people's fantasies of who we are and eaten alive. Finally, a celebration of this magnitude moves us closer to embodying collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, faith, unity, purpose, creativity, and self-determination. Thank you. I just want to now share with you our run of show for this 2-day event and tell you who's coming, tell you where you can purchase tickets and where you can find out more information. So the festival will host both free community conversations during the day and ticketed events in the evening. On Friday, June 17th, we will begin. Doors will open at 5:30 p.m. at the Stevens Center with a conversation with visual artist Elahi Stewart. And that will end at 7:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. We will begin our offering with Winston-Salem's own LB the Poet, Dr. Alfonso Seville, the sounds of the group Untitled, Soul Tree, and We Got the jazz of Tribe Called Quest featuring Malcolm Jamal Warner and Dash. Tickets can be purchased for Friday's event at the Stevens Center box office beginning today at 11 a.m. On Saturday, during the day, kicking off at 10 a.m. with our community conversations at the Winston-Salem Urban League. Our discussions will focus on entrepreneurship, visual arts, spirituality, literary arts, African American youth development, and more. Our confirmed panelists include Kendall Brown, brand creator of 228 Grant Street Candle Company, attorney, activist, and author Molly Davis, international visual artist Engelbert Metoyer, community and public health advocate Jasmine Seville, critically acclaimed author and professor Dr. Daniel Omotosho Black, public theologian and Winston-Salem's own Candace Marie Bimbo, intellectual property attorney and governmental affairs consultant Maurice Foxworth, and scholar, minister, and cultural curator, Dr. Melva L. Sampson. There are no tickets needed for our daytime events, our community conversations. On Saturday evening, we kick off at the Ramcat, which we are glad to see Rich here in the building representing the Ramcat because we love the Ramcat. We will kick off. Doors will open at the Rancat at 7 p.m. You can also purchase your tickets for Saturday evenings events at www.theramcat.com. Confirmed acts for Saturday are Tara Lloyd, Chelsea Green, violinist, Masiki Scales, and the Common Ground Collective. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at One Love Festival. We would also be remiss not to thank our community partners. We give a huge shout out to Red Bull and the Marketing and Music Festivals team. I read you this blurb from our community partner, Stevie, who writes, "The team from the Deep South Red Bull region are beyond thrilled to be teaming up with One Love Festival Winston-Salem this year. Here's to spreading love for many more years to come." We are also thankful for the support of our mayor, Mayor J. Allen Joines, who writes a letter of support thanking us for bringing the One Love Festival to Winston-Salem and looking forward, and is happy that the city of Winston-Salem will be a sponsor for this event. We also are thankful to have the support of Representative Dr. Amber M. Baker, who says that she is also excited to bring another festival to the city, one that will be an economic driver and will raise the level of visibility for Winston-Salem. I see it on par with the National Black Theater Festival, River Run Film Festival, and many other great events that draw visitors to both the city and the state. Again, congratulations, wishing you a hugely successful endeavor. We also have community stakeholders and supporters and partners here with us in the person of Chase Law and Reverend Dr. John Mendez. And so I will invite them to say a few words, particularly as the Arts Council of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County serves as our fiscal agent, for which we are greatly appreciative. So I'll ask them to just say a word or two about the importance of this offering, and then if there are any questions, we will entertain them.
Sure. Well, that was a wonderful kickoff to this great festival that I think is going to blossom for many years to come. When I was approached by this lovely couple about a year ago, when everything was shut down, they shared their vision with me, and it's very exciting. As Arts Council is going through its life cycle, and a lot of changes are coming down. A lot of their vision does align nicely with our vision for the future and community expansion, responding to needs throughout our community, and using the arts as a tool to make real change. So we're very excited to be able to partner with them as a fiscal sponsor and fiscal agent, and hopefully that will continue to grow as well. We're happy to provide marketing resources as well to push the festival out. We're excited that One Love is partnering with many of our arts partners as well as individual artists. So we're looking forward to seeing this come to fruition.
Thank you, Shaw. We also have with us, I'm getting ready to say Daryl Shaw, and I wanted to say thank you, Case Law. Chase Law, sorry, I'm tongue-tied. And next to Chase Law is Daryl Shaw. See why I'm so tongue-tied. Who is one of the co-founders of Hustle Winston-Salem, who is a longtime supporter of One Love Festival, and we invited him to represent the community. And if you just want to say why this is so dope.
Yes, absolutely. How's it going, everybody? Dr. Melva and Derek, they've been really, really, really instrumental into just my career. At one point, when I very first met them, I was on my way out of Winston-Salem. I was literally going to move to another city. The only convincing that was left was to make sure my wife was on board. But in terms of my mind being made up, I was out of here. We've got some notable clients, Kevin Hart being one of them, who's offered us to come out to LA many times. And then we also had opportunities in Atlanta, so as a business owner, not really seeing the economics here in the city of Winston-Salem. I was interested in moving my business to another city, but after meeting these two wonderful people. They were able to, talk me out of leaving Winston-Salem and allow me to see the opportunities that they were bringing to the table. And I'll tell you, I've been like cheerleading for this group of people since I've known them. And this is really, really impactful. And then also, I am a founding member of Hustle Winston-Salem. Not sure if you guys know what Hustle Winston-Salem is, but our goal here is to bring economic opportunities to people who are often overlooked. I'm really, really rooted in this vision that they have. It aligns well with not just my personal goals, but also my goals for the city of Winston-Salem. So I'm pleased to be here. I'm excited to be a part of this, and I can't wait to party at the Ramcat.
And the Stevens Center.
And the Stevens Center. The Stevens Center too. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And Derek and I moved to Winston-Salem in 2017. And before we moved, I'd already had an opportunity to meet and was scheduled to do a workshop with none other here than Reverend Dr. John Mendez, without knowing full well if I'd be here or not. So when we actually made the move, we were sure to align with Reverend Mendez. He has since retired from the Emmanuel Baptist Church. However, he is no stranger, and this city is no stranger to him or his voice and his shout for justice. So when doing this, he was one of the first elder statespeople that we sought out to just get some approval and get some vision, to which he has been a great guy. So Dr. Mendez, would you care to say why something of this nature is important for Winston-Salem?
Thank you. Big question. Let me say good morning to all of you. I'm really excited about One Love Festival emerging in the midst of Winston-Salem in conjunction with, and I often think about Brother Hakeem, how much we miss him, and the Otacia dances, what Larry Hamlin and Sylvia meant to this city and to the cultural life of this city, as well as what Cheryl Harry has been able to do to keep culture relevant and alive. And I say that to say that there's a lot of conversation going on right now about the violence and the crime in our city. What we overlook is, and mental health should understand this better than anybody. When you don't love yourself and when you feel like your life doesn't matter, it's easy to escape and become involved in crime and violence. It's really a manifestation about how you feel about yourself. Culture is liberating. It's the one thing that can turn everything around. I grew up in the 60s during the period of civil rights and Black Power. I used to listen to Malcolm X, and then later Minister Farrakhan. I knew about the cultural life that Elijah Muhammad had planted in this country, but particularly in New York. I used to be a gangbanger, and I engaged in all kinds of crazy stuff. But once I connected, on the one hand, to the Black church, which was very powerful and involved in, and the cultural life of Harlem, my life turned around, and I found myself not being against myself, but being for myself. And it was the culture that turned everything around. I used to hang around the Teresa Hotel, Frank's Restaurant on 125th Street across from the Teresa Hotel, because I could catch just about every African-American celebrity in and out of one of those businesses and what have you. And I watched my life change, but then I felt that I was commissioned to carry that culture and spirituality throughout my neighborhood and the city. And I took that with me back, I took it with me to Shaw University, where I did my undergraduate work, and then within the ministry. I know how we can turn this around. One Love Festival, along with many of the other cultural institutions and activities that I mentioned earlier, can turn this city around. It can turn young people around. It has the potential to appeal to the talents and skills of our young people, where they can represent themselves, represent their interests, and feel like their lives matter. So I'm excited about June 17th and 18th. It's just the beginning. And we got to convince our city that if they are serious about ending violence and crime in the city, to get involved with us in perpetuating the liberation, recognizing the liberation of culture and how it can turn people's lives around. And I think Melva said it best. Our history and culture did not begin in slavery. We were a great people long before we came to the West as slaves. And we're not slaves, we were enslaved. And as a result, in spite of that, our ancestors were so wise and resilient, they created a culture in the diaspora in the West that represents both resistance and resilience. That's the spirit that our city, our parents, our young people must catch again and realize that even in tough times won't last, but your culture, your resilience, your sense of empowerment will last. And that's what I think this is all about, to empower our communities again, to love themselves and to work so that the best in them will come out of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rev. I just also wanted to add to it. We are launching One Love Festival in conjunction with Pink Road Chronicles, which is a digital hush harbor, and the founder and curator is Dr. Melva Sampson. I wanted to make sure we pointed that out. We're launching June 17th and 18th here in Winston because we're here in Winston. We see Winston-Salem as a destination similar to Robert Redford saw Utah and brought what he now has as the Sundance Film Festival. Again, culture and arts, if you missed it. And the tagline for the city of Winston-Salem is the city of arts and innovation. We take that tagline serious, and we plan to continue to take the tagline serious. We are also going to do the festival in Houston, Texas, September 9th and 10th. We're going to do Miami, Florida, December the 2nd and 3rd. And one may wonder why those cities. Carolina as a state, Texas as a state, Florida as a state, on the top 5 states for people migrating to those states. That means different ideas, different people, different culture is coming to those states. So that means change is eventually going to happen. And we plan and want to be in those states, in those cities when change happened. And we also have friends and family and supporters in those cities that are on board already to help and work with us to bring One Love Festival in conjunction with Pink Road Chronicles to those cities.
I think it's also important to mention, while we are, the One Love Festival is unapologetically centering African diaspora culture through music, through arts, through innovation, through entrepreneurship. Who is welcome to this festival is everyone. Everyone. This is not exclusive in terms of attendance. We want everyone to come because that's a part of growing cultural awareness, and cultural sensitivity requires for all to come, to learn, to hear, to see, to be in conversation, to hear what conversations are happening, to hear firsthand what's happening in folks' communities, in this community, to hear firsthand about entrepreneurship from a particular perspective, innovation, so forth and so on. So I want to make it clear that while the content is exclusive, our intent is inclusive for everyone in the Winston-Salem area, in the Triad, in the Triangle, in the state, all over to come and join us. So at this time, if there are any questions, we invite you to ask us.
Speak a little bit to the challenge of growing cultural awareness. I guess kind of the need for a One Love Festival in today's context of movements that are saying, don't teach my kids something that will make them feel uncomfortable, for example. Talk about that a little bit and the importance of it.
Well, I'll speak. Yes, I think that is a good question, and it speaks to exactly why we need to engage in these kind of happenings and to create community conversations, because a lot of that standpoint in terms of not wanting children to learn about critical race theory really is centered on ignorance and not even knowing what critical race theory is, and not knowing that your child would not be taught critical race theory in elementary school. And so our position is, if we say that we respect humanity and the sanctity of all life, right, that we are inviting others to do the same, but by centering and engaging you to become aware. And part of what has been challenging is getting people beyond two sets of people. One set of people who believe that because of the election of former President Obama, that we were now somehow post-racial. And then meaning, so we're all good, all problems are solved, we can all get along now. And then the other set are those who were activated by the most recent president before Joe Biden, who are on the opposite end of that spectrum, right? And so it is on one hand, moving people from a place of apathy, on another hand, almost forcing people to see why this is necessary and why we have to do this work. So why, even if we just, people also love, let me be very careful how I move forward next and remind myself what I'm doing in this circle, but let me just say, we love often to go to Martin Luther King and the dream, and, our need to sort of engage, but we in some ways, I think, see being a pacifist or engaging in the importance of nonviolent work as seeing that as somehow not risky, right? This is really risky business to say that we are putting forward the idea of having one love, but not one love that means we can overlook stuff, not one love that says, oh, it doesn't matter, I don't see color. You absolutely should when you see me, because I am of a brown tone. I see it when I see other people, right? And so it is important for us to make sure that we are moving in that direction. And the challenge, what makes this, I guess, less challenging is having the support, and the support that looks like this, right? That says it's important to have someone like Chase Law, who is saying, I agree with this. And it is important, I want to just go on record, Chase, and say it's important that she's a white woman. It's important that she uses her privilege in a way that acknowledges, right, why this is necessary, and putting her human capital forward to be in support of us.
Just to piggyback on that for a minute, it's important to understand that critical race theory is American history. It's not outside of, it's part of American history. And I think James Baldwin said it best, that America has been committed to perpetuating a lie. And now we see at the helm a twice impeached, defeated president who's leading the charge to take us back to a period where we're not going, that perpetuates the lie. And the lie has been predicated on a philosophical view that people of color are inferior and that we are criminals by nature. This has been the perpetuated lie through for centuries. I'm a psychotherapist by training. I'm a psychoanalytic psychotherapist. I'm writing a book right now in terms of how psychoanalysis addresses the African American experience and the Native American experience. Two people that were defined as savages, criminals, inferior. We're still battling those claims. And culture is one of the ways to combat the big lies. And that's why it's so important. When I mentioned earlier that, and we don't like to use this word, most privileged classes don't want to use the word, but we are an oppressed people. And what oppression does, whether you're middle class, is the fact that you're Black. Oppression turns you against yourself and makes you participate in your own oppression. Culture has the power and the potential to move you from being against yourself to being for yourself. That's why I'm supporting and involved in One Love Festival, because it's a matter of survival. It's a matter of how we view and think about ourselves. And this becomes all of our struggle, not just African Americans, but I'm very proud of a number of white people, Indians. I looked at Black Lives Matter. I was in one of their movements, marches. It was over 250,000 people out there. And I observed many white people, many Indians, many Native Americans, many Latinos and Hispanics and African Americans. I'm saying this is the future we want. This is the future we're striving to achieve. And culture is the vehicle, I believe, that will get us there.
Absolutely. And the artists that we've chosen really are message artists. They are artists who have a message, artists who have the same values, who understand the importance of culture, from Masiki Scales and the Common Ground Collective, which is a world beat, if you will. Masiki is a musician, but also is a scholar of African and African American studies. Right. So a lot of that comes through his music and the types of instruments he uses, the percussionist that he uses in his work. Chelsea Green, who is a phenomenal violinist, phenomenal. You can follow her on Instagram at the Green Violinist. Who is a professor music, and also makes playing the violin cool enough for our daughter to pick her violin up again, right? So that violin music is not, we don't listen to this, we don't play the violin. But Chelsea Green plays the violin in a way that makes you get up out of your seat and dance, right? And then Winston-Salem's own LB the Poet and LB's spouse, and the ways in which, right, they understand who they are and engage in this Sankofa moment by going back to sort of fetch the way of doing poetry from the oral tradition that is rooted in the griots and the Jali in various countries, from various countries on the continent of Africa. And so we have been specific, and that is not to suggest that other kinds of music is not helpful. As a matter of fact, we have Tara Lord, who is a rising hip hop artist from Toronto. And so it is to say, though, that to Dr. Mendez's point, that our contribution to what is happening in this city and what is happening all across the country and even globally is to, again, retrieve these cultural artifacts that have already been present. We know that these have been tools that have been used to resist, but also to reclaim a sense of self, to reclaim pride, to reclaim, and reclaiming should never be threatening, right? It is not threatening to say that I'm reclaiming this culture, nor should it be suggested that it means that I'm not American, right? But it means that just as other cultures are able to trace and are proud of and can go back to Ellis Island to chart when their ancestors came into this country, that for folks within the African diaspora, folks definitely African Americans in the South, that it is important, and we believe that one way to address, not the only way, but one way to address many of the ills that we are facing is to invite the entire community into a space of cultural awareness and sensitivity. And we're doing that through this offering.
I also wanted to add to what you all are saying in terms of the artists, in terms of our intention. Melva mentioned Tara Lloyd, who's a young female hip hop artist out of Toronto. It's an international artist who now is being played on the radio station in New York City. Winston-Salem we will get a chance to launch a artist that a lot of folks don't know, who is international by the point of her being based in Toronto. In 2019, we brought Blitz the Ambassador, who's now working on The Color Purple, the retooling of The Color Purple. He was chosen by Oprah Winfrey, Spielberg, and Quincy Jones to direct that film. Blitz was here at the Ramcat. He's also a screenwriter. His film, The Burial of Kojo, was nominated for a Golden Globe Award. Those folks were here in Winston-Salem. Eli Stewart, he's a young up-and-coming visual artist, lives in Asheville. That's one of the regional offerings we want to bring to Winston-Salem. April Reese, she's a Black female visual artist here in Winston, from Winston. She's going to be a part of the festival. Angel Bart Matoye. Angel Bart is an international visual artist. He's sold work with Sotheby's. He's been part of Art Basel, European Art Basel shows. He's going to be here in Winston-Salem, Houston, Miami. He's on board for all three cities, you all. This is an international. He lives between Houston and Harlem, Rothenburg, Harlem. He's going to be here with us. I just wanted to really share the kind of talent that we have really been working hard to secure. Sultry and Untitled. Sultry and Untitled are regional bands to this area in the Triad. You know, they are committed and they are going to be a part of the Friday show.
Any other questions, comments?
I think we should emphasize also that locally, we want this to have an appeal to our youth, particularly to inspire them to utilize their talents and gifts and want to utilize their talents and gifts to be creative in expressing themselves as well as contributing to eliminating, abolishing the crime and the violence in the city. It's important to include them. And with the artists that's coming, to have them interact with these artists will have tremendous impact in the future. Just tolerate me for one more second. When the movie Black Panther came out, it had a tremendous impact on the cultural life of young people. All of a sudden, we saw dashikis again. When I went to see the movie, I was standing in line and there were some young African-American sisters and brothers in front of me wearing their African attire. And I started teasing them, asking them, did y'all know what this is all about? They got insulted by me asking them that. And then I turned around and told them how proud I was of them. And they were affirming themselves, affirming each other. And I said, this is one of the best things that has happened, where they saw Africa, saw culture in a whole new light. And it was so liberating. And when you named all the artists that's coming and whatnot, I imagine the impact this is going to have on the community, on young people, but we got to get them there. Yeah. So these names become household names, and they want to be able to say, I want to be like them. They made it, I can make it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a retired preacher, so that's why I talk.
No problem here. None here. Listen, thank you so much for coming. If you need our contact information, we can give it to you. We appreciate your presence. Thank you to our community partners. We absolutely could not do this without you. And thank you for seeing the vision early on, right? Because soon others will see, and, you know. So we thank you for being present. Thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.